it's very rare that here on a national platform that national stories, several national stories align and they all are connected to where you grew up. So I happen to have grown up in the great state of Ohio, in Northeast Ohio, a city called Akron, about 30 miles from Cleveland. Just to give you context, how deep I was in my Cleveland fandom before I decided to become a very serious journalist. Okay, I'm joking. But before I decided to get into journalism, I was a serious Cleveland fan. So here's one example. Michael Jordan, you know about Michael Jordan and the shot over Craig Elo. Craig Elo and I think it was Larry Nance coming in late, and Michael Jordan just made the shot and started to build his legacy. But I was on Register 1 that day. I was working at a grocery store in Akron. Register 1, my manager, instead of managing, was watching the game. Now I'm doing work. I got the register phone up to my ear, and he's giving me play-by-play as I'm scanning these groceries. I was good at it too. Boop, boop. Scanning, got your lettuce. Okay, got your tomatoes. Boom, boom. Oh, you got anything? Got potatoes down there? Okay, I got that. I'm punching it in. I'm scanning, and he says, Jordan over Elo. Game over. Somebody got free groceries that day. That's all I'm saying. I was like, okay, whatever. Bam. Keep going. See, that was the legacy of all the Cleveland teams at that time. This is 1989. I think Michael Jordan was an underdog in that series. LeBron James was 4 years old when that happened in 1989. Not even 5 yet. So the legacy of Cleveland teams at that time, Cavaliers had never been to the NBA Finals. Browns had never been to a Super Bowl. Oh, how things have changed. No, they haven't. The Indians hadn't been to the World Series since 1948, I believe. And so that was kind of typical for a Cleveland sports fan to go through that type of heartbreak. So you had the shot, and a couple of years before that, you had the fumble, and a couple of years before that, you had the drive. I mean, it's just all kinds of crazy things happen. What am I getting at? I'm getting at no one could have imagined then. Michael Jordan, an underdog in the series. Imagine that. They were. The Cavs were favored in that series, and Jordan and the underdog Bulls, coached by Doug Collins, came back to win that series. Jordan, an underdog, and a kid who doesn't even remember the pain and the details of that shot. See, when you do a show by yourself, you're essentially arguing with yourself. I'm telling you, I'm just going to start an argument with myself here. Because this story, and I'm so glad that right before us, Rich Eisen was on. So early in Eisen's show, shout out Rich Eisen, and shame on you, Rich Eisen. I'll get to my point in a second, but I just want to say shame on you, Rich Eisen, for taking some joy in the University of Michigan's hockey team being number one in the country. Shame on you. How pathetic are you, Rich Eisen? Talking about the hockey team for Michigan. He's just sitting here gloating because Michigan's in the Sweet 16 and they beat Ohio State once in a generation. And so now he's feeling himself and he's bragging about the hockey team. But anyway, love Eisen. But on Rich Eisen's show, Chris Webber was a guest. And I was happy to hear Webber say that LeBron's story of passing Karl Malone and becoming the number 2 scorer in NBA history is underrated. Yes, it is. He said this is an underrated story, even though we've talked about it. Why is it an underrated story? Because you just got to understand this connection between Akron and LeBron James and what he went through growing up to get to this position where you really have to think long and hard about the missteps that LeBron James has made as a professional. You know, you all know that he started a school in Akron called the I Promise School. So it's a legitimate school in the city of Akron. It is part of the Akron Public Schools. And he started this school, and part of the beauty of that is that He himself was an at-risk student as a third and fourth grader. At one point, he missed 84 days of school. Now think about that. You educators out there, my teachers, where are my teachers? That means out of a 180-day school year, he missed 84 out of 180 days. And so that student winds up starting the school. I'm going to shout myself happy now. Come on now. Just think about that. That alone makes this incredible. But if you know the area in which he grew up, some of the obstacles that he had to go through, some of the obstacles that he faced, it's really miraculous that he's in this position today. And I remember talking with people about this, and those who don't really think about it deeply, saying, well, of course, it's LeBron James. He's 6'8", he's a great athlete. Of course he was going to make it. I don't know about you all, your hometown, where you grew up, but there are a lot of people who had all the talent, who had great athletic ability. They may have been the best athlete at your school or on your AAU team in your area, and one thing or another got them off their path. Maybe it was an injury, maybe it was bad luck, whatever it is, they didn't make it. This guy did. Just being able to track along with him, to know the streets that he walked and the neighborhoods that he lived in, 5 minutes away from the neighborhood that I lived in, to see him at this point right now is a really inspirational story, not just for people from Northeast Ohio, but people who are looking at tough circumstances and trying to figure out a way to transcend those circumstances. And he certainly has. On top of that, let's talk about the journey that he had to becoming, this is where I'm arguing with myself. I see you, Chris Herring, but now you can't answer, because I should have gotten into this with Herring yesterday, but we didn't have time. I'm going to say becoming the number one player in basketball history. Yes, I said it. Number one player in basketball history. Herring said, well, it's still Jordan. We'll get to that in a second. Think about LeBron coming out of high school. So in high school, he doesn't have his high school games at a gym, just a high school gym like anybody else. He got his high school games, they were so well attended that the home games were at the University of Akron. They had personal seat licenses for LeBron James when he was in high school. He had attention on him around the clock from the time he was 13 or 14 years old until now. He had a $90 million shoe contract before he came into the league. He had a target on him before he played his first game as an NBA player. And so the expectations, some players would just wilt under the expectations. And I dare say that LeBron James exceeded the expectations that people had for him coming out of high school. A number one overall pick, drafted by his hometown team, $90 million contract from Nike, Sports Illustrated cover boy, all these things on the Source. I think it was on Slam magazine, the Source, all kinds of stuff. No, Slam. I don't think it was on the Source, but Slam magazine, all this stuff. All the attention, and he exceeded those expectations. Leaves Cleveland, the decision, all of that, wins a couple of championships in Miami, then goes back to his hometown to win a championship, leaves his hometown, goes to LA, wins another championship, and now, just last night, on a bad Lakers team, now let's not dismiss that, they're a bad team, and that might be his fault too. But last night, throwing up a triple-double at the age of 37. So this is why I say he is the best player in NBA history. And this is where, we'll have Chris Herring back on. He'll have his say. I let him talk yesterday. So now it's my turn. I got the mic now. This is why I say he's the best. Because if you're able to, and I'm consistent on this. When I talk about great players, if you're consistently elite, 15, 16, 17 years in a row, 18 years in a row, if you're consistently elite, okay, that's part of the calculus. No, it's not just longevity, hanging around and compiling stats. I mean, there are a lot of baseball players like that, right? You know, guys who got into their late 30s and they've got these hits. They got all these hits or they got all these home runs. But later in their career, they went from 200 hit guys to about, 75 to 85 hits. They're just piling on the numbers to build their stats. That's not what's happening with LeBron James. LeBron James is still giving you elite production at 37, the same elite production at 37 that he did at 27. Nobody in NBA history has done it like this. And I think Kareem Abdul-Jabbar is awesome. I think he should be a part of these greatest ever conversations more often. It's usually LeBron versus Jordan, but Kareem, it should be a three-man weave. But Kareem, at the end of his career, was not an elite center anymore. He was a productive player, but he wasn't elite. And so Jordan, those last 2 years with the Wizards, he was good. Numbers say he was good. He was still giving you 20 points a game. But Michael Jordan wasn't a top 5 player when he retired. LeBron James still is a top 5 player in the NBA. Hey, thanks for watching Brother from Another on YouTube. Make sure you hit subscribe before you leave and be sure to watch us 3 to 5 p.m. Eastern Time on Peacock. Appreciate you.